Just to be sure, there's a spoiler. Captain Kirk will soon return to the Star Trek universe, and fans can thank the most unlikely group of heroes. IDW's Star Trek: The Last Starship puts Kirk in one of the most catastrophic moments in galactic history, forcing him to fight for the Federation's ideals. Now, the book's writers have revealed a beloved superhero franchise influenced the book. AIPT covered IDW's Star Trek Comics panel at San Diego Comic-Con. In attendance were Jackson Lanzing and Collin Kelly, writers of The Last Starship. In explaining the origins of The Last Starship, Lanzing revealed that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin was a massive influence on the book. Welcome to Movie Spy. The Last Starship will be the flagship of IDW's Star Trek Comics line. The Last Starship will be a worthy follow-up to the franchise's God War. This summer, IDW wrapped up one of the greatest eras in Star Trek comics history with the publication of Star Trek: Omega. The one-shot brought to an end an epic, two-year story that ran through two titles, Star Trek and Star Trek: Defiant. The story touched on every corner of the franchise. When Star Trek: Omega arrived, it left fans wondering where IDW would go with the line next. Earlier, the publisher had announced a trio of miniseries, including Red Shirts and a Voyager 30th anniversary comic. Then, last month, IDW revealed The Last Starship, which will become the new flagship of the publisher's Star Trek line. Star Trek: The Last Starship explores an unseen and dark time in the galaxy. Why Captain Kirk has returned will become one of Star Trek's greatest mysteries. Star Trek: The Last Starship is set during one of the darkest moments in the franchise's timeline, that of the burn. The burn happened when all the galaxy's dilithium exploded, making warp travel much more difficult. Unsurprisingly, galactic civilizations, including the Federation, fell apart. As revealed in Star Trek: Discovery, the galaxy became a lawless place. The Last Starship will insert Kirk into this era. The hows and whys of Kirk's resurrection will be one of the Last Starship's driving forces, but Lanzing and Kelly, who also wrote Star Trek, have stated that his return is not simply for nostalgia's sake. Instead, Kirk will have a purpose in the 31st century, and that purpose will be to fight for the lofty ideals the Federation embodies. With those same ideals crumbling around him, Captain Kirk must show they still matter, even in the face of unspeakable tragedy. With death, starvation, and piracy the new norm, Kirk will have his work cut out for him. Star Trek is drawing inspiration from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin was a watershed book in the franchise's history. For Star Trek: The Last Starship, Lanzing and Kelly are drawing on a most unlikely influence, at least at first glance. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin was published by IDW in 2020 to great acclaim. The Last Ronin was a runaway bestseller and helped inaugurate a new line of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics. The Last Ronin took some big creative swings with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. Set in a dystopian future New York ruled by the Shredder's grandson, The Last Ronin is a dark and uncompromising view of the Turtles' future. The Last Ronin tapped into the franchise's darker elements, and it paid off for all those involved. Captain Kirk's biggest fight is still ahead of him. Kirk must not only adjust to a future time, but also a galaxy in chaos. And now the Star Trek franchise is taking its cues from The Last Ronin. The Last Starship, like The Last Ronin, is set during a dark time, in this case, the burn. The Last Ronin followed Michelangelo as he fought not only the Shredder's grandson but also to maintain the legacy of his fallen comrades. Kirk will be in a similar situation when Star Trek: The Last Starship arrives in stores this fall. Captain Kirk is a Starfleet and Federation legend, and he is in a prime position to fight for the beliefs and ideals of those organizations. Yet before he must adjust to a world that is not his own. The Last Starship will still uphold Star Trek's core values. Star Trek's lofty ideals never go out of fashion. Not all of The Last Starship will be gloom and doom. At its heart, the Star Trek franchise is about optimism and hope, and The Last Starship will not lose sight of this. While Star Trek has produced some dark and brutal episodes, these themes of progress and exploration still flourish, and thanks to some unlikely heroes, they will again. Thanks for watching.